Yeah, it does help if I unmute the microphone, doesn't it? Yeah. And I know I've got sound now, but I'm just checking that I'm actually even recording. Because the last stream I forgot to record, so I'm going to have to download it from Twitch just to have an archive. How does that look then? Thank you for the prompt. You know, I kind of have a ritual, a thing that I do every time, which is sort of, you come on here onto the stream deck, which you can't see, but it's just off the side here. Punch two buttons. One is to fire the intro, and the other one is to unmute the microphone. For some reason, I was busy saying I got all prepared. I got the rings out. I got some closed, some open rings, a load of rings to close, and how prepared I was for once. And then I forgot to turn the microphone. So not very prepared at all. But yeah, so Micromaille tonight, a little bit of Micromaille. And because of the fact that it takes so long to do Micromaille, it will be a little bit of Micromaille, I think. But we shall start with this. Right. So the first thing for the stream, before I forget any further, is that there'll be no stream tomorrow night. Sorry about that. Another family event, which means that I won't be able to stream. So I know that's 2 this week, but should be okay from then on. Now I zoom this camera in, which of course means I've now got to try a lot harder to stay on camera is the word I was looking for. And I can see this camera vibrating at the corner of my eye, so I hope it's a reasonably stable picture that you're seeing. You weren't here because Monday was an awful day. It's Wednesday today, isn't it? Okay. Yeah, what happened on Monday then? I was going to say, I think I've suddenly got the feeling then I don't actually recall seeing you in the stream on Monday night. Kinda did wonder. Quite. I won't go strong as to say, wonder what was wrong. It was just kind of, oh, you're busy doing something. But why do these rings look like I'm doing something wrong? These rings really look like I'm doing something wrong, which probably means I am. Yeah, I am. Must be doing something wrong because that's not working. Indeed, that should be through there. That's definitely not right. So I'm probably actually attempting to do this at the wrong point. So I shall take that ring back off. Would that be the right place to do this? No, that wouldn't be right either. Okay. There are times with chainmail which it gets quite frustrating when I'm doing something here that's obviously wrong, and it's really obviously wrong, and I'm just not seeing it. The new South Park game came out, so you stayed up till 5:30 to watch it. Okay. Yeah. Dear. Yes, the unexpected requirement to work. I see. So was it yourself who put the comment on one of the YouTube videos today? Yeah, I saw that whilst doing something else earlier on. I'm now busy just trying to understand what I'm doing here. That should be it. I think that no. Yes. I think that's it. No, that's not it. Yeah, right, okay, that's... Oh, don't worry about it. That's not... it's not an issue at all. It happened. What was it? The... earlier... I mean, you're not the only one to miss one of my streams for falling asleep. I did that the other night. What was it? Was it Saturday? Yeah, I can't even remember which night it is. I missed one of my own streams, so I certainly couldn't be. It certainly couldn't be upset by any viewers that missed the stream because they fell asleep. And of course. At least, I mean, if you really wanted to see the Monday's stream, the video and the VOD is still there, so you're obviously quite welcome to take a look. Yeah, just excuse me whilst I try and work out what on earth I should be doing at this point. I've got to come through there and I've got to go through there. That will give me that ring. And then... but that ring would have to go through... no, that goes through... alright, I think... I do that. I'll go through there, and if I went through there, that does not look right. So I'm not going to do that. Turn it over, and yeah, please excuse me whilst I try and work out what on earth I'm meant to be doing here. I've got a feeling that I'm missing two rings. But equally I could well be doing it from the wrong side, which is also possibly true. Right, why do you look weird? Alright, straighten yourself out. That's trouble with Micromaille is you can't hang on to the thing very well. Okay, Wolfie, thank you very much, Spare Factory. Thank you. Sorry, I am not. I wasn't quite concentrating on chat. I was concentrating on trying to work out what I'm supposed to be doing with this. Oh, you know, I am getting seriously annoyed with myself at the moment because this is such a simple weave, and for the life of me here, I just cannot understand at this moment in time what I should be doing next. Now I've got one ring through there, so I should have two through that. No, I already have two through that. This is European 4-in-1. That's 4-in-1. No, that's 3-in-1. And that ring is going through 1, 2. If I go through that ring again, blimey. Oh dear, I cannot. This is decidedly odd because I kind of know what I'm supposed to do. I mean, I've made a weave like this so many times, and I've come back to it so many times, and I'm busy looking at this now, and I cannot work out just where the next set of rings should go, other than on the end. Oh, this is silly. Let's have a look at. I'm going to have to look this up. So I am literally now just looking up. Exactly how to do this. I've done it that many times and I cannot see it. I'm studying it, and what I need to do is just take a look at an actual picture and use that to and now you're going to be awkward, aren't you, and not show me a picture. This is kind of a little bit embarrassing in a way, if I got embarrassed about these sorts of things. I could just put it down to my age. I'm getting old, you see. It's going to be extremely obvious. The instant I see this, I'm going to go, oh yeah, why didn't I realise that? But just at this instant in time, I cannot see it. Okay. Do the search there. Yeah. No, I don't want to do it. It's not. Yeah, all very well and good to do that, but that does actually help. Does that picture? A little bit. Just like programming, yeah. It's more. It's kind of like picking up somebody else's programming and going, yeah. Now, just what on earth did they think they were doing when they did that? I'm looking at this, and I'm looking at it, and I keep thinking there's 2 rings missing. Or possibly more. They're not likely to have missed 2 rings. Well, it's kind of like there's 2 rings missing, one there and one there, but then there'd be ones missing from there as well. So it's not that. Why have I got? What am I? Where have I got to on this? As soon as I understand where I am, this'll be fine, but just at the moment in time, I'm just really struggling to understand where I am. So that ring, there's 2 rings through that, which is kind of what I expected. Two rings through that. The next one. Okay. That missed. This feels upside down for some reason, but that's see what it looks like. No, that does not look right. That's not right. No, I still can't figure it out. Oh, that's cheating, is that incredibly Wolfie? If you need to play the card game to get cards, having a bot do it for you, that's cheating. Am I? Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking of. I'm slowly, I think, starting to understand what I've done here. Or not quite understand what I've done. It is almost as though I've got a ring missing there. Yeah, that's just through 2. And there should be a loose ring on that one there. And a loose ring on the end. But that I can't have gone and when I'd last did this missed a complete ring off the end of everything, but okay, so I'm doing this. But it is so like I'm missing 2 rings. So I put a ring through there, and then I'd put a ring through there. But that's normally start with 2 on the one for there. Oh, that's it. Well, isn't that the point of the game, though, to get for people to do just that? Okay, I know where I now know where I am. The only thing I want to look at now is, can I do this in a easier way than that? So if I were to put that, no, because that would require me to do something I don't follow. Alright. I could do without shooting these things all over the place. Somewhere on this desk then is a ring. I don't know where. We'll get another one. That means I'm one short, possibly. Good job I've got a few spares. Right, so if I have a ring that's that one there. Upside down, turn it over. If I go through that ring and that ring, somehow this has kind of resolved itself into me knowing where I am, I think, and I don't actually understand how it's done that, but let's see if I can go with it. That's kind of right, but it's not right. Well, it is right, the weave's right, but that's not the right. I have not worked out where I am. I've just put a ring in. Oh, I've put 3 rings in. They are right in their positioning. But they're not right. Oh dear. This is one of those occasions when I kind of, if this wasn't Micromaille, I'd probably at this point go sod that and start again. But it is Micromaille and I am not going to start this again. I am going to work out what it is. So with things like the candy cane, I very well, if you like, I determined that what I actually needed to do with candy cane is to give myself a marker. When I finished, give myself a marker that told me where to start again. That's candy cane there. Because if you saw a stream when I started trying to do that one, having not done it for several weeks, it took me about an hour to work out where my next ring was supposed to go. And this is gradually turning into the same thing, and I think what I ought to do is leave myself a marker, or at least not finish a row next time, so that I know exactly where to start from when I've picked it up after a period of time. Yeah, but it doesn't go through that ring. Yeah, that's alright, Incredible Wolfie. I mean, I think at this stage I'm not chatting very much either. Mainly because I'm trying to work out what on earth I'm doing here. This. Is, in some ways, frustrating. Alright, let's look at a picture. I'm looking at a picture and I'm going to match the picture that I am looking at to this. And it doesn't look like that. Okay, it doesn't look like that. So that's not what I'm seeing on the picture. Okay, now then, does this end look like that? No, this end does not look like that either. Okay, partly because it's upside down. Turn it over. This is going to now look exactly like the other end because that's what it's designed to be. It's symmetrical. And at this stage, everything is telling me that I am missing a ring there, a ring there, a ring there, 4 rings. Everything's telling me I'm missing 4 rings in the pattern. And I'm looking at it and going, how can I miss 4 rings in the pattern? You know, it's just, I'd have had to not weave this properly for my last row to have done that. So, okay, so I've been weaving it differently to the example that I'm looking at on screen, which is fair enough. But that's still telling me I'm missing rings. Oh dear. Here I was thinking, oh, I'm going to have a relaxing night doing some chainmail. Yeah, right. This is not relaxing at all. This is extremely frustrating. So, yes, I can see what would happen if I put 4 on there, but I can't see me having done that. So if I'm not done that, I would put a ring there, a ring there, a ring and a ring there. That would be 3, but I'm speed weaving this. So, if I put a ring there, if I put a ring, no, I can't do that. I'm missing Okay, I wouldn't do that. What's the other end look like? The other end looks like that. And to weave this, I'd need a ring on there, and I'd need not to drop it like that, because that doesn't help when you're trying to sort of, both ends are symmetrical, and both ends being symmetrical means that it's either that way or that way. Can't be any other thing. It doesn't matter about me changing ends. Here it is, you see, this is the process of trying to work out just what's going on. And about the only thing I can think of is that I've done what I said I didn't do. And I have missed off a whole series, or at least a ring there, and there'd be a loose ring there, which I'd then should go through there, yeah, I'm not doing it like that. That picture doesn't help. And that's doing that, which is not the way I'm working. Well, okay, but the only thing I can think of then is to actually put in the 4 rings. That looks to be missing to me, so if I put one there, one there, so then when I do the next weave, I come through with that, then add 2 rings, which would give me that, add that one in, which would then, right, okay. Right, so we're now into put this back into a known state. I have no idea how I was doing this before. Because looking at it, I was speed weaving before, and I'm looking at this and going, I have absolutely no idea how I could possibly have been speed weaving that. Because the relevant rings to that I'd add on to with the speed weaving technique aren't there. So that's the bit that's got me all puzzled in this, because these rings that I'm adding now should have been there already for me to tag the next row of rings on in the speed weaving technique, and they're not there, and that's the bit I can't work out. That's the bits that's thrown me so far tonight. It's just trying to work out how on earth these 4 rings that I'm looking for are not actually present. Okay, that's another ring that I've lost. If I lose much more of these rings, not only will the floor be covered in the things, I won't have enough to finish this bracelet off. Now then. I did not mean to put that one on there. That one I've just got there was meant to go there. Okay. Now, I now have this in the state that I was kind of expecting it to be in, because now what I can do is I add the ring that joins these two together, which sits on top of this one, through there, and add this and this ring in together at the same time. Now, I don't know if you can see that on the screen, but that should put me back to where I was expecting to be what was now almost an hour ago. So I've spent an hour studying this and not getting very far. And in the process losing rings somewhere on the desk. So I should be able to take 2 of those, take 2 pills. Sometimes you need them with this, but there we go, that's those 2 over there. I then flip one of those over that side there, which is what I was looking to do. I take a new open ring. I put it through those 2 and that one, and I add a new closed ring. If I can get hold of the thing. Yeah. New open ring through there and there and through there. Go hold of it, put a closed ring on the end, and I should now be back on track, because that's how it works. Yeah, that's it. Now I just carry on, rinse and repeat. which is what I was expecting to do an hour ago, believe it or not. So that goes through those 2 rings. Get hold of it, put on this 2 closed rings like that, and close it. And as you can see, I'm not having a problem with working out where this should go because it's obvious. The fact that it's obvious is because it's meant to be obvious. So, bit of an awkward. I think this is a weave where I probably should open the rings the other way. But through there, and through there, like that. So I spent probably about 3/4 of the hour saying, I'm sure there's 4 rings missing, and I don't actually understand why there should be 4 rings missing, or should have been. But it looks highly like there was, because I am now weaving as normal. Having put the missing 4 rings, given up and put the missing 4 rings in place. And I've just done something silly, which is to put 2 rings on there when I only want to put 1 on. See, now I'm stopping, not concentrating as much as I should be. But at least the weave is now going according to plan. Well, ish. If I can get the rings, that's the only thing with these little tiny rings, is they're little tiny rings. I love the Micromaille, but it's a little bit fiddly to work with. And I almost feel like I should wear a headset magnifier. I do have a head mounted magnifying glass, which I kind of feel like I ought to put on for doing this. And again, I go through that ring and through that ring, and it works. It works perfectly well, because I'm doing it right. So I must have had some sort of mental aberration on the last stream where I actually did chainmail, because I must have seriously lost my way with it. I should be picking these rings up with my left hand. Tell you one thing I'm going to do at the end of this stream is I have got over here some little tiny rings that are but a little piece of wire. That little piece of wire is going to go through where the next ring is going to go when I finish this. I'm going to put that through where the next ring is going to go, so I will have absolutely no mistake at the start of when I have to pick this up again. if I was the sort of person that rage quit, and occasionally I do when something gets, well, I won't say rage quit. I get frustrated and quit rather than rage quitting as such. But if I were that sort of person, I think I'd have thrown this at the wall about 30 minutes ago. Now, one slight issue with working with tiny rings like this is the nose of the pliers, even though these are chain nose, also known as needle nose pliers, even though they're quite small, they're actually an appreciable size of the ring in comparison to the ring. Let go! Thank you. Which makes actually getting hold of the rings to sort of feed another one on, as you see me, as I'll do it in a moment. But I'm getting hold of these rings, and I've got to get hold of them but somewhere near the open end. But I can't get too close to the open end, because if I do that, the pliers actually block up the gap. And when I block up the gap, either at this point or where I'm feeding it through, I can't get a ring through that gap. And then I have to start repositioning all the pliers to get it to go through. But with the bigger rings, that's less of a problem, because they're bigger. So one of the perils, if you like, of working with Micromaille is the fact that you actually have to hold onto these rings in some very awkward positions. Hold them in a very sort of I won't say unsafe sounds dangerous, but in a way where the slightest movement can cause the rings to go ping off. You've got to hold them right on the tips of the pliers. Yeah, and it's just going normally. Right, excuse me, I'm going to put that down carefully. Just need to give my glasses a little bit of a clean. Right. I am starting to run out of closed rings, so I will end up having to close some more shortly, but until we get to that point. So yeah, hold it as close to the end as I almost possibly can. With the hope that I don't just put a little bit too much pressure on it and shoot the ring off the end. So, this is one of those crafts which can be immensely satisfying. You know, to master a complex or even a simple weave, to get a beautiful piece out of the end of it, but can be immensely frustrating, like at the start of this stream where I completely lost my way. I don't know what I was doing on the last stream, and don't know how I got into the position I got into. And I've done it again. I've done it again refers to the fact that I've put two closed rings on in that particular bit of the weave there I put 2 closed rings on it. I shouldn't have done. The very first ring that I weave on a row I put 2 closed rings on. Every other ring has only 1 and I keep forgetting. When I forget, it means I've got to sort of backtrack and unweave a ring. I nearly dropped that then. I'm not sure I want to do that. So this is the first ring that I weave on the row, and on this one I put 2 closed rings. It's the only one that I put 2 closed rings onto. All the others and this row are just 1 ring. So kind of what's happening is you weave the ring and put on it the next one in the chain. But for the very start, there was no woven ring before it, so you sort of put the starter ring on and then put the weave and then the next one to join on with. If that sort of makes sense. Hopefully it did, even though I didn't really say it all that well. Now then. So that goes through there, and through there, and I put just 1 ring on this one, Zarragan, just 1. And a reference for people in the UK would be just the one, Mrs. Wembley. Now that's a really old quote, and it is likely that only people who watched a particular programme in the UK would understand that. I don't particularly think it was sold internationally. And actually at this point I can't even remember which programme it was for. But for many a time that became kind of a universal catchphrase for quite some time. Now then, I need to close some rings before I can proceed any further, but leaving that like that should at least give me an idea where I'm going. Right, I have a big pile of rings to close. So, as I've said it before, this is where I kind of wish I had an apprentice, because the job of the apprentice would be to close all these rings for me. I don't particularly, well, I don't mind closing the rings. You know, it's part of the making of the jewellery, part of the chainmaille. But it is also not necessarily the most interesting thing to actually watch. It's not actually the most interesting thing to actually do either. Having, you know, in the past, having spent several hours closing rings, and the bigger ones are easier to do. Just because they are bigger, they're a bit easier to get hold of and things like that. But even after if you do it for several hours, it does still tend to become a little bit boring. Now the rings need closing as a result of the way in which they're made, but I kind of there are times when I kind of feel like, because effectively all it is, it's a spiral, so all it needs to do is the spiral needs flattening, and I kind of at times feel like Could I get a hammer and just sort of tap them? It won't work. It would just flatten the rings. By flattening I mean make them sort of, instead of being round wire, it would flatten the sides and it becomes sort of oval shaped wire or square shaped wire, which will give it a completely different look. But there's always the fantasy. Right, for anybody that's out there watching, just a reminder that tomorrow night I have a family event, and streaming while that's going on isn't practical. It's a bit loud for a start, and not particularly a good thing to try and stream while that's going on, so there'll be no stream tomorrow night. Next stream will be on Friday, when almost certainly we'll be carrying on with more of this chainmail. You never know. Friday's here, yeah. I'm really tempting you now, you know, because Friday's stream may be more of just closing rings. How's that for an incentive to actually watch the stream? I do think though that probably I'm not going to be working with Micromaille again, certainly not on stream, just from the point of view of I am sure that what you're seeing now is less interesting than watching paint dry. Even opening rings I think is more interesting than this. So what we will do project wise, I think, is we will finish this ribbon, this bracelet. And when we do, that'll be it for Micromaille on the stream, I think. I don't think I'll be making any more. What I might then do is I have some lovely I'm trying to think what the metal is. It's not titanium. It's more shiny than titanium. Titanium is kind of a dusty looking metal when it's anodized. And I'm actually trying to think of what the metal is that I've got, and I can't actually remember. But it's a lot more shiny. But it's not aluminium, so it's quite a hard metal. I think what we'll do is do something in that. I've got some blue. Can't remember if I've got blue and red or blue and green or red and green, but something like that. So probably do a that's kind of a Christmas colour. But I don't actually. I mean, there's no particular weave that you could say is Christmas, not unless you sort of take like a charm bracelet and then start hanging baubles off of it, you know, little coloured baubles. I suppose, could you do it on something like that? You might just be able to use something like candy cane here as a charm bracelet. I mean, otherwise they're fairly simple. 2-in-1, 4-in-2 simple chain would be good to hang charms off of. Just because there's a lot of open spaces on the chain to get a charm ring through. Because on something like this you kind of end up having to look for a space like one there maybe, and as you can see it's quite tight to actually get the ring of a charm through something like that, maybe the odd one. But if you close up those spaces by putting a charm ring through, then what happens is the bracelet gets a lot stiffer. But using a more open weave, I think that was the word I was looking for earlier. You've got more space to put charms on. So that's the simple weaves like the straight chains, the 2 in 1 or the 4 in 2 are good for that. The Byzantine is actually quite good for that because of there's a linking section between the blocks, which is quite open weave, and means that you can put a charm between every sort of Byzantine block, which gives you sort of a nice sort of fairly fancy carrier chain, together with the charms on the bracelet itself as well. So you get sort of best of both worlds, really, I suppose, in that respect. I'm trying to think. There's quite a few weaves where you've got like an open structure. The tighter things like the box weave, which is this isn't, but it's similar. It would be no good for that, because there just is no open space in the weave to be able to put another ring through to carry a charm. How's that? Bavant Girl, thank you very much for the follow, that's most kind of you. And Rihanna, hello, hi, how are you? Hi, I haven't seen you for quite some time. How are you, how have you been? I'm doing good. I'm glad you're doing good. Oh dear. So how are things with you? I mean, you're doing. You just said you're doing good, of course. I was kind of wondering what you've been up to, because I can't actually remember the last time you dropped in the stream, and I have got a feeling it's been over. It was a year ago, well, more than a year ago. Haven't girl, feel free to say hello if you wish. Chat won't bite. Well, no, I'm not going to say what I was going to say. But you're welcome to join in the chat if you want, or to obviously just lurk there if you wish to do so. Not a problem. I have been having an interesting evening this evening, Rihanna, because I spent the first hour of this stream staring at this bracelet I'm working on, trying to work out just what on earth I'd done on the last stream with it, because I could not work out where to start the weave from, the add-on. It looked like I completely messed up the last row when I did it on the last stream. I don't think I did, so something went awry. I think gremlins have come into the room sometime between the last time I streamed chainmaille and this time, and pinched a whole row of rings. I'll do another 2 or 3 and then I am going to weave these. At the start of this stream I thought it's a bit cool here in the studio, and I thought about turning the heating up and then completely forgot about it. I'm kind of glad I didn't. It's getting a bit warm in here, so I'll do another one and then I'm going to weave. Once I've done that I'll actually weave the bracelet as well. So my sense of humour. Things on school that is not going very... Oh, that's a pity. I would very much hope that they improve for you. Now then, something doesn't feel quite right there. It isn't. Right. One of the things with chainmail, whenever you get a chainmail item like this, you can run it through your fingers, and you can run it. Take this, run it through your fingers. Same with this, and I've got a bit. Something there is sticking out, and I can feel it. And you kind of shouldn't feel it. It should all feel the same. Generally speaking, it feels smooth. And what it usually means is there's a ring out of place, and in this particular case there is one ring here that should have gone through that one and hasn't. So it means it's not lying properly in the weave, which is why it sticks out, which causes a little bump. And what I've now got to do is somehow finagle that back into the weave, which with Micromaille like this is not the easiest of things to do. There, I think that's got it. That's better. Wolfie, your server has given up its life. It's given up its life in the pursuance of science and knowledge. And Wolfie understanding how it worked. Is it dead as in the power supply has died, fuse has blown, or you've blown the processor? I thought you were just programming it, configuring it, so there's some component let out the magic smoke. You do know that all electronics are, it's magic smoke that makes electronics work. Because if you ever let that magic smoke out, they stop working. So that's proof positive that magic smoke runs all electronics. And if you could only get it back in, it might work again. Well, I must say that whilst it's unfortunate, Rihanna, that you're having problems school-wise, I'm glad to say that work-wise, a year ago, which is April last year, when I moved jobs, my work-wise it went from an extremely bad situation to an extremely good situation. Now I've been in this new job now for a year and a half, and it's just about the best job I've ever had. It's a job I can do really well, and it's not necessarily an easy job. It's an extremely satisfying job. I get to, whilst I've got a defined job to do, I also have a heck of a lot of leeway in that job. So for me, it's I kind of like go to work and play. Okay, it goes with me be fine at school. On a school, oh, that's not very good. They messed up your final year. Well, I hope it's recoverable from Rihanna. It's having school mess up, especially when it's not your fault, is is a really frustrating thing in how it can impact your future. So hopefully you're able to move forward from it in a constructive way. It wasn't actually too serious, and it shuts down and makes really weird noises and refuses to start up. I'll tell you what that sounds like, Wolfie. That sounds like your processor cooling fan.
Yo, what's going on?
Or another fan like a power supply fan. So what you're potentially getting is the shutdown because of overheat protection. But it's in a power supply, or it could be a fan that it's detecting a fan failure, and then and shuts down because of that, rather than overheating and shut down. But that and the funny noises you're hearing are the fans attempting to do something. That would be my first thing to look at, or first thought to look at. I once built a computer into a very tiny case. It was a case I'd bought, and the case contained a heat pipe, something I'd never actually done anything with before, worked with before. And what I didn't realise at the time was on the bottom of the heat pipe, where it sits on top of the processor, there was a pad, and it was a grey looking pad. And I thought that was a heatsink pad. It was a heatsink compound pad, and so clamped it onto the top of the processor, which was quite difficult to do because it was quite a thick pad. And a similar thing was happening. The computer would start up and then immediately shut down. And I could start it up and it immediately shut down, within sort of a couple of seconds. And I couldn't work out what was going on. And on one occasion, I was able to get into the BIOS and just saw the processor temperature, which was about 300 degrees, something ridiculous. It wasn't 300, but it was well in excess of 100 degrees. And I worked out it was overheating and shutting down. And I'm thinking, but it's got this heat pipe on it. And eventually, I sort of dismantled it again and took a look at this heat pipe and the pad, and realised it was actually just a protective foam pad. It wasn't actually a heatsink pad. And when I took that off and put heatsink compound on the bottom, not only did it clamp a lot easier to the processor kept running, believe it or not. I don't know. I mean, have a look and see. Obviously, have a look at them. I mean, it's just the sort of thing that came to mind. Funny noises is usually a moving component. So in a usually, I can think of something else, but it's usually a moving component. So either a disk drive or a fan. There isn't a lot of else of moving things in a component in a computer. So if it's a disk drive, then usually that doesn't stop it booting. It will either not initialize the drive, in which case it just comes up without the drive is missing, or it initializes but won't read, or reads bad data and things like that, even if the drive is screaming and making all sorts of noises. Doesn't usually shut it down. So fans keep things cool. The processors have overheat protection on them, and sometimes some of the other chips, especially in servers, will have monitoring for overheat. And you've got things like the motherboards have got RPM detectors on the fans. I don't know about servers, but certainly on desktop PCs. It's a 3-pin connector on the fans, power, and a sensor wire which senses the spinning of the fan. And the processors or the motherboards can sometimes modulate the speed of the fan to slow it down if you want. So if a fan goes off, and they make all sorts of grindy, rattling noises, if something's broken on them, or not a lot of moving parts as such on a fan. It's just the fan bit that tends to rotate. But sometimes you can get something's got in them, or they go off balance and they're rattling or whatever. So if a fan stopped, then what it's cooling overheats. And then if your computer is overheating, shuts down and protects itself. Whether that's in a power supply or on the motherboard. The other thing actually, that sometimes you get noises, but they're not usually described as funny noises. They're usually described as things like screeching and things like that. Is you can sometimes have a component go in the power supply, which causes a whine or a whistle or something along that sort of sound. But then that will may cause the power supply to shut down because it's not providing the right voltages and things like that. I can't at the moment, Wolfie. It starts up like so to make sure it's in. So you're actually getting the fan is starting and stopping, starting and stopping. Yeah, I'll be right back, I think. I'm sure you've gone, Rihanna, but you're not sure you're going to be back. Okay. I can't join Discord at the moment, Wolfie. Especially whilst I'm streaming. So you've got a processor which starts up and then possibly after the stream. I do have Discord installed. Trying to think what my username is on there. It's either Zaragan or Zaraganaut. Okay. But I'm just trying to think. There isn't a lot. Why would a processor shut down? Normally you get into the BIOS. I mean, anything like there's no disk drives on it and stuff like that, you'd end up in BIOS. And you're kind of looking to see if you've got any diagnostics. Then I guess we're talking about an industrial server here, aren't we? So, I don't know what the industrial servers would have in terms of diagnostics. I mean, PCs these days, you still get the beep codes out of PCs, but you usually get most of your diagnostics now from the console screens. I am stopping what I'm doing whilst I'm thinking, which I will carry on doing whilst I'm thinking. I'll get further then. So if we can't... So you're getting your fans running up and shutting down, and the fans are running up and shutting down. Okay, so that suggests they're under active control to do that. I would say on some mainframes, when you shut them down, they some of the older, bigger computers show it. So industrial computers. Now this is a few years ago, as in lots of years ago. I'm just trying to remember, because I used to have a couple of industrial computers at work, and when you shut them down, they whilst the processor, or the main thing shut down, the fans continued running. And the fans continued running just to allow all the components and everything else to cool off. Because if you just turn them off, they'd overheat. I don't know if that's what's happening in the server and your fans are still running to do that. Outside of, we're kind of outside of, we are outside of my knowledge. So I'm starting to guess as to what the issues might be. So how would I go about diagnosing what the problem is? If I assume it was a desktop computer, okay, the first thing I would kind of be looking for, or looking at, would be to start and go, can I tell where the noise is coming from? So can I find what it is that's, I don't want to on there, what it is that's actually causing the noise that you're hearing? Because that's that helps you localize what the issue might be. So is it coming from a power supply? Is it coming from a particular fan somewhere? As an example, and if it is a fan, then is that fan spinning? Is there something caught in it? Something like that, which can be easily sort of rectified. It's cooling, you know that bit. Yeah, okay. I can't really think of why it was starting to shut down though, because if you had things like just about anything, if you've got a faulty power supply, for example, or a component's blown, then it kind of doesn't start full stop, just nothing happens, or it starts but doesn't work, so the lights are on but there's no one home, your discs fire up or initialize and these sorts of things, or at least you've got power on the motherboards. Okay. I'm not sure I can help at all, but yeah, we can take a look, or sound or whatever. But I'm just trying to think my way through the problem. that ring isn't closed properly, so we'll just close that one a little bit. Even these little tiny rings are subject to the kind of the memory effect of metal, where it remembers the position it was in, so the twist that it's got on it, it remembers that it had that little twist on it, and it wants to go back. So that as you close a ring, it sometimes over the next sort of half an hour or so, it gradually sort of slips back into its open position, and you have to just sort of tweak them. And even these little ones, which have got really fine sort of wire, are subject to doing exactly the same thing. The bigger rings do it quite frequently. There's a lot of metal there, and sort of the twisting puts a lot of stress on into the metal, and sort of the unwinding is it sort of relaxing back into the position it was in, like a memory effect. The bigger the wire, the more it tends to do it, but even these little ones exhibiting the same behaviour. Just that. Okay. Just the end. Yes. Again, as a little while ago, I'm just feeling it because something feels a little bit off, and I think it's just the way the end is. Because the end tends to bunch up a little bit until you sort of weave a clasp onto the end of it. But something's out. Yeah, I've done it again. I can see there is a ring that's not woven correctly. That one! On there. So now I've got to find the end of that ring, because I've got to open it. Is that the... Nope. Come on, ring, where is your end? This is going to be a ring that closed perfectly and hasn't moved. I know that. It's Murphy, you know, because I want to find the end, because I've got to split it. I've got to open it up slightly. I need to find the end in order to, you know, get hold of either edge of it. And I'm not finding it, and it's possibly because it's perfectly closed. Which is something I try and do with every single ring, but occasionally that doesn't happen. But it's only when you want to you'll find any number of rings that have opened slightly, because one of the things I do when I complete a bracelet is I'll go through the complete chain very carefully, looking for any any rings that have opened slightly, and then fix them. But you can guarantee that the one that you want to find the ends of, because you need to open it, has closed and has stayed closed properly. Now I'm sure there's a... Oh, it's there. I can feel this one with my nail. Oh, I could. Where is it? It's there. Is it? No. Because me, I am concentrating on trying to find the end of this. So, one top tip for chainmail: weave it right the first time. Yeah, there it is. Right, because trying to get into the middle of a weave like this after the fact is not the easiest of things to do. There. Now I've been quite lucky. This particular weave is not easy to do that with, but it's not the hardest. Something like candy cane is a real, you know, I spent an hour at the start of this stream trying to work out, you know, where I was on this. If I had to put exchange a ring in here, to take a ring out or move a ring, I could easily spend an hour trying to understand just where one ring ought to go. And with something like this, if a ring's out of place, one of the best ways that you can deal with it is not to try and fix the ring that's there, but to put one in the correct position and then take out the one that's bad, if you've got enough room to do it. And this one is would be, you know, candy cane like this is a bit tight, but that might be just because, you know, sometimes when you've got a ring and you can look at it and go, that should go through there. But as soon as you take that ring out, and this one's good, but as soon as you take that ring out, all the others move position, and trying to see where it was supposed to have gone is really difficult. Whereas if you know, whilst you can see where it's supposed to have gone, if you can fit one in, or even a piece of wire, just something that tells you where it's meant to go, before you take the old one out, it makes the job a lot easier to do. Right, so I actually have got that now in, and I can feel it's smooth again, it's flat. And put my finger on there and it feels flat. So, you know, the feel of something whilst you're working on it is one of the biggest indicators for there being a problem. And it will just have been something, I may well have woven it correctly, but just in trying to sort of manoeuvre the pliers around, it slipped out without me noticing it. That's more than likely what happened. But yeah, you know, you are working at extremely small scale and you're trying to feed this one little tiny ring through 3 other rings in the right place like that, and then get hold of it there, leaving enough space, take this ring and put it in the gap. Right. You know, actually, on this stream, I was hoping to substantially finish this. Because it's kind of getting towards the time to move on to something else, you know, a different chain or move on to something like the pyrography. And how long is that? Ruler. It's not long enough, but I'm just wondering how long it is. I measure these in inches, so that's 3.5 inches. And we've probably done about an inch, so it's about an inch an hour, something like that. We're at this size. So I was kind of hoping to have got at least another inch on. And of course, the slight hiccup, the slight difficulty at the start of the stream has contributed to being rather more significant delay than I wanted. In other words, I messed it up and had to fix it. And as I'm weaving this, I still cannot understand how it got into the state it was at the start of this. It is very much like I'd gone through the complete bracelet, sorry, not bracelet, one complete row without putting any of these closed rings on. What I'm doing here is you can see me weaving a ring when I can find where the shot off to. So you can see me sort of trying to get hold of one of these things to weave it, and then weave it in place like this. That's picked up, not enough. And I picked up one of the rings there. I wanted to get it through two. This is the frustration of the little tiny ones, because they just spring out of the pliers really easily. So I had to go through 3 rings there. Okay, and then what I do is, it's almost like what I'd gone ahead and done then on the last row of the last stream was just close that without taking and putting a new closed ring on the end. And it's kind of like I'd gone the whole row without putting the additional ring on. I have no idea why I would have done that at all, but that's kind of what it looks like. Or somebody's come along afterwards and cut them all off. Which of course, I can't see them doing that either. Especially since there's only a limited number of people that could come in and do that. Okay, Wolfie. And I'd have thought, since my usual mistake in this particular weave is to put 2 rings on, like I've just done. At this particular point, this is the first ring I'm weaving on the row, and putting 2 rings on is correct. It's the only place where it is. But I have a habit of doing it like on this next one or the one after that. I'll put 2 rings on, and I should only put 1 on. That's the usual mistake I make with this weave. So I am currently kind of at a complete loss as to how I messed it up. Holding the rings in place with my thumbnail here just to try and keep them in a position where I can actually weave this ring through. They're so fluid, as you might have noticed. I mean, this thing is like cloth, and trying to get the rings. Something's wrong there. Trying to get the rings in place. Trying to hold them so there's a gap to pass the rings through. You sort of need to hold them in place. Now then, there is a ring out of place there. Didn't really feel that one, but I did actually just see it. So now I've got to find the end again. And the end is there. I can't see the end, but I can feel it. Okay. That goes through there. Okay, any more? And that's a few that I found out of place. Let's have a look, see if I can see any more now. Nope, I can't see any more at the moment anyway. Yeah, it's so flexible is this. It literally is like a ribbon. It will bend, so fluid. You could tie this in a knot quite easily. Well, if it was a bit longer anyway. So you imagine this is going to be a really nice sort of delicate bracelet when it's finished. And actually, it doesn't look too bad on me, I don't think. I don't know what you think. It wouldn't disappoint me to wear that. Now then, am I going to spend the next 10 minutes trying to work out where I was? No, because it's obvious I was there. I am not forgetting my promise to myself to half finish a row and put a piece of wire in where the next ring is going to go, so that when I come to pick this up again, I know exactly where to go and where to continue from, without spending an hour trying to work it out. Okay. I think actually that point has been reached. So I will put this ring through there, and through there. Right, we're stopping there in the middle of a row. Okay, so I've got another ring to go on the end of here. It's kind of obvious because it doesn't match. I don't know if you can see that, but it's going to be obvious to me that there should be a ring here. I hope. But as I said, so I finished in the middle, because I always work right to left, so I know not only which end I should be at, I know which way up the ribbon should be, and I know where the next ring is going to go. But just in case, I shall take this piece of wire and thread it through the path of the ring. That's going to go in next. That's that one through there. He says, this might be a bit more challenging than I thought to get this piece of wire in, but it will be worth it if it means I don't have to spend an hour next time. So that then goes like that, and that's where the next ring is going to go when I start this on the next stream, which will be on Friday. In the meantime, that'll just sit there. So, dear. It never gets easier. Does some of these. It never gets easier because I pick challenging things to do, and I kind of enjoy doing the challenging things, and I learn things from it. Usually, anyway. Even if it's only don't stop at the end of a row, and I hopefully will remember that in the future. The last time I had a problem, I remembered it would be a good idea to put this in, the wire on the end, but I did kind of think in such a simple weave as this, I wouldn't have a problem starting it up again. And that was wrong. Don't know why. As I say, I mentioned, I have no idea why it looks like I completely missed off putting a set of rings in place that I should have done. In fact, a complete row of rings. I have closed rings. So the closed rings, I weave 2 rows at the same time with this technique. A row of open rings and a row of closed rings get woven at the same time. So that's one reason why it's called speed weaving, because you're doing more than one thing at the same time. So you're sort of progressing, in quotes, twice as fast. You're just moving the time around a little bit, because I have to close the rings manually one at a time instead of closing them on the bracelet. It's a bit easier, it's a bit faster. Not much, but it's a bit faster to do them out here than trying to do them, working with pliers in a tiny space. But speed weaving then sort of lets you do sort of 2 things at once. It's twice as fast to weave, but it's half as fast to prepare the rings. Although having said which, I either have to open a ring or close it, so it takes about the same length of time to open a ring as it does to close it. So I suppose I'd have to open them to weave them anyway, so if I close them and speed weave them, then I am saving a bit of time. But I did, as I say, think I wouldn't have a problem knowing where to start. And that took an hour to work out. So even on a simple weave like this, putting that piece of wire in will save me one immense amount of time the next time I come to start this. But that's it for this evening. A reminder that the next stream is going to be on Friday. There's a family event tomorrow, and it is just not practical to stream while that's going on. So you look out for me between 1900 hours and 2000 hours British summertime. That's 1800 hours to 1900 hours UTC, Universal Time Coordinated, or GMT. They're both, to all intents and purposes, the same thing. And before I go, I have got to point out the stuff at the bottom right there. Draw your attention to that blue box if it didn't stand out enough as it was. There's all the URLs there. A couple I'd recommend you take a look at: the Twitter, because that way you get to know what's going on the stream. If I'm going to stream, not stream, you can get some of that information from Twitch as well. But of course, you have to have Twitch loaded to get it from Twitch. Twitter sort of pushes it at you. And of course, I'm going to point out, we're doing jewellery here, by the way. Jewellery is available in the shop, sevaganart.etsy.com, down at the bottom right there. And I suppose what I ought to do is point out the 2 buttons at the top as well. If you're not following me already, it'd be fantastic if you did. You don't have to, of course. Put the buttons up there to follow, get notified when I go live again. and come and join us here in chat. Or of course the subscribe button if you'd like to support the channel for purchasing of materials that we use on the streaming, whether it's pyrography, carving, that sort of thing, or items to do that with, pliers, anything suitable for whatever it is the craft is. Then that's what that goes towards. So again, thank you for watching. Hope I'll see you on the next stream. Bye for now.